Good morning, friends. Ooh, hi, birds. It is a gorgeous morning out here in the front yard garden, and I just wanted to talk to you guys about using aloe vera in the garden. So we have several aloe vera plants out here, and I'll show you a few of them. If you live in a climate that it does freeze, they are frost sensitive, but you can grow aloe vera in containers indoors. So here's one of our aloe vera plants. If they turn a little red on the tips, that's just a little bit of sunburn, and ours did get a tiny bit of frost. So that's kind of what I was saying, was that they are frost sensitive, but you can grow them indoors. Just put them in well draining, even like a cactus mix. They don't want to be too wet, but they do like even consistent moisture but not being overwatered. Here's one of our big guys here. And so we have them all over our garden because we use them for several things. We use them for actually feeding other plants, and I also use mine for like a facial moisturizer, which I'll talk to you a little bit more about. This one did get frost damage, so we're gonna actually just cull this plant. This was one of the only ones because it's out in the open and it wasn't as protected. See, the other ones are all kind of more tucked in with other plants. Let's see where there's another one. So there's another one here. They're kind of more tucked in with other plants, so they were more protected from the little bit of frost that we had this winter. But that one, being out in the open by itself there, did get kind of frosty, and so that's why it doesn't look so happy. So we're gonna take that whole plant out and put a new pup in its place. One of the neat things about aloe, I think we have some pups over here, is that they shoot off new pups when they grow, which are like new little baby aloe vera plants coming off of them. So like, I think either this one or, oh, this one's all back behind the nasturtiums. We'll have to take a pup from here anyways. Yeah, so this one you can see down here has this little pup coming. So if I'm able to carefully remove this, I can then plant this one out. But I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to put it in that same spot, just because obviously it is a little exposed right there. They're going to get sunburnt and possibly frosty when we do have that frost. So I might tuck it in somewhere else. But what we're going to do today with aloe is actually harvest some. So I was going to show you harvesting a leaf or two, and then we blend it up and feed it to our plants. So we're going to be transplanting some new plants into one of our front beds over here. We'll go back over that way. And aloe vera is chocked full of vitamins and minerals, micronutrients, enzymes, all different sorts of wonderful things that really help plants recover from transplant shock and develop strong root systems, and generally make them more, resistant to pests and stress and disease and things. And so when we are doing a lot of transplanting, or if we just want to give our plants a good head start, then we will harvest some of the leaves. This one's buried in watermelon salvia, and then there's another one back there too. I don't know if we can see, hiding back behind there in the plants. These ones haven't been harvested from as much, so I'll probably harvest from those. But anyway, so the couple things that you can do is actually water your plants with an aloe vera solution. And when we do that, and I'll show you again in a moment when we actually go into the kitchen and do it, is you don't even have to fillet them and take out the inner aloe vera gel. When you're doing that, you can just blend it all up with the outsides of the leaves in place, and just water your plants with it. And that's going to, again, give it all kinds of great nutrients and support. But if you're going to do a foliar spray, which is another option for on your vegetables or plants, even on cannabis plants, then you would want to fillet that middle part out and get the gel out, and then blend that with water, because it's going to get chunky and stuff if you leave the inner stems in there, or I mean the outer part of the leaf in there. So let's see if I can easily harvest one here without hurting the plant with one hand. But basically, like with our greens, with the cut and come again method, you just take from the outermost. So I'm going to see if this one's ready to go, and I'll probably get a few other bigger ones when I have two hands. But you just take from the outermost, and it'll continue to grow new growth from the middle. And usually when they're fairly ready to come, you can just wiggle it a little bit. This one's not wanting to wiggle. I'm trying not to actually like rip it off. There we go. Well, that one broke a little. Sometimes they'll actually come with the entire, focus, with the entire, like, let's see here. This one's little too. Let's see if I can get a better example of that. What are you birds doing? birds are messing around up there. I don't know why it keeps going blurry. Okay, so I won't be able to grab that other one with one hand. But anyways, so here's one little leaf that we have. I'm going to grab a couple more, and then we're going to go inside and start to process them, and I will show you. But basically, you can just pull that off from the outside, and it'll keep producing. So that's why we have multiple plants all over, and it allows us to keep harvesting off of them without taking too much from one plant at once. So I'll go around the whole yard, and I'm going to harvest maybe 2 leaves from every plant that we have, and then I'll come back and show you what exactly we're going to do with them. There's another one tucked in there. Okay, let's see if I can harvest a couple from this big guy here. But something that I kind of meant to say, or when I was talking about growing them in pots indoors, was you can totally bring those pots outdoors during the right and warm enough season, and then just bring them inside in the winter time for protection from frost. So they can still live outside, and they'd prefer, they like sun, but they will turn a little bit more red in direct sun. They do well in shade. I mean, you saw the ones that we had over there. So either way, they're pretty versatile. Indoors, I would give it bright and direct light because they're going to want to photosynthesize, obviously. But when they're outside, if you live in a hot climate, you can keep them partially shaded. And then also, when I'm harvesting these leaves, I'm going to stick them right in the fridge until we actually cut them up, because aloe vera is most active and it can actually ferment and become less effective within about 10 to 15 minutes of cutting it. And I don't mean just by pulling the leaf, because that's just that one little exposed piece, but if you actually were to fillet open the aloe vera and expose the gel or cut it up into multiple pieces, then you want to use that ideally within about 20 minutes maximum. So we're not going to actually process these and cut them until we have the plants already all planted that we're going to feed them with. But let's see, which one do I want to try to take? These are huge. Well, this one will be a good example, I think, of what I meant will come off with the other one. Let's see. Sometimes you can actually get like, ooh, there's spiders. Sorry, spiders. Sometimes you can actually get, there it goes. Ooh, I'm covered in spider webs. That's what I meant. So when they're closer to, look at that. I hope there's no spiders in there. Okay, that needs to get off me. So that's what I meant though, when you actually can get the end of the plant to come completely off rather than tearing it. So now none of the gel is exposed in this one. So I'm just going to pop it in the fridge, and then we'll wait to actually cut it up until we get our plants in our raised beds that we're going to water it with. Okay, so here's all the aloe that we harvested, and so these pieces are going to be enough to fill 2 5-gallon buckets of water that we have outside with rainwater waiting for them. And so we've had these in the fridge, and a couple of them we just harvested, and then we're going to use them as soon as we cut them up. A couple things I wanted to mention though is using them for my face. So I will keep a leaf in the fridge at all times, and I use it for my facial moisturizer. A lot of people are like, well, doesn't aloe stink though, or isn't it kind of like, I get like a weird onion smell almost? That is, and I grabbed a paper towel so you can see it. Let's see if this one's still giving that off. No, this one's not as much. Yeah, see the yellow there? So it's kind of hard to see in this, but when you first cut an aloe vera plant, this one's pretty yellow. When you first cut an aloe vera plant, it gives off a bit of a yellow goop, which is actually like its defense mechanism of when it's cut, and that's not the gel. So that does have a kind of funky smell. So right after you cut it, I usually just let it kind of sit and kind of heal itself a little bit before I'm going to use it. But then as you continue, it only does that one time. So then as you continue to make cuts later, it's not going to continue to give that weird, my fingernails are so dirty. We were just outside planting stuff. Anyways, if you continue to cut it, it doesn't give that smell the rest of the time. So that's just like a one-time thing, and that's usually what's most off-putting for people. So just ignore that first little bit of the weird odor and the yellow goo, and then you'll get into the actual gel. So what I do is I keep a piece in the fridge, and then I don't know if I'll be able to focus this or not. Yep, there we go. So you can see the aloe vera gel in there. So you could just squeeze it, and this will actually show the gel. Excuse my dirty fingernails. So there is the actual gel. So that piece had already healed. So this is what I use as facial moisturizer. So it's kind of goopy, but it dries really nice, and it heals really, really well if you have any issues or blemishes or just for great moisture. So I keep a piece in the fridge, but the thing is as I mentioned, I'm all gooey now. It'll start to ferment and change its healing properties once it has been exposed to air for a little while. And so I keep it whole, and then all I do when I'm gonna, I take a piece out of the fridge and I just cut off a sliver like that tiny every time I need to moisturize my face, which is, maybe twice a day after showering, or in the morning or in the evening after washing my face. And then I just squeeze this open and squeeze that around, and there is the aloe vera moisturizer. And so that's all I do, and just cut off continuous little pieces. So one piece can last me, one leaf can last me, one leaf can last me for weeks. So that is my facial moisturizer, and it's just 100% pure aloe vera, no preservatives needed, and again, it won't continue to give you that odor. So when we're actually going to work with putting it in a blender, we don't necessarily need to fillet it, but I'm going to show you just as an example. I think I'll go ahead and I'll cut up a few pieces first and throw them in there. But for watering, so if we're going to mix it with water like rainwater and just water our plants directly, we just cut up chunks. So I'll just take this and we're just going to blend it, and the Vitamix is a champ, and so it can take it. So you can see how thick and nice and how much gel is in these. So I'm just going to throw them in our Vitamix here, and don't mind the yellow over there. That is from all the turmeric we put in there. I'll cut that up a little bit more. So we're going to throw some pieces in here, and I'm going to save at least one for my face. I'm going to save this nice big one for my face. So Erin's going to take that one for me. I might not actually put all the big ones in here. We'll see what we get through here. And then I'll do this one too. This one is red here only because it was kind of sunburned, like I mentioned. Oh yeah, that's a nice piece. Let's see if I can make that focus. Nice aloe vera, beautiful. So another thing I wanted to mention, since I have it out right here, is growing aloe vera inside. And so we have just this little guy here on our table, and it's super cute. This is kind of my emergency reserve. So when I don't feel like running outside, if it's like raining and I ran out, then I will just pull a leaf from the outermost on this one. But the size of the pot is going to limit the size that your aloe vera can grow. And so I would definitely suggest, if you're going to be needing to bring this in and out, because you live in a climate that gets frost, and so you want to bring big plants outside and then bring them back inside in the winter to protect them from frost, I would definitely do a bigger pot than this, because it's only going to get so large being in a smaller pot. But continuing to harvest from it continues to put off new growth. So it has a lot of new growth right now, because I have picked off a couple leaves recently. All right. Erin's going to take that one. So let's see if I can actually fillet this decently for you guys. So this would be if you wanted to do a foliar spray, or if you wanted to extract all the aloe vera for something like a smoothie. You can drink the inner gel. You don't want to consume the outer portion, because all of the fiber and the content of it actually causes like gastrointestinal issues for some people. But the inner stuff is great. We actually have some organic aloe vera that we take shots of sometimes. They're really soothing for your belly. And the issue with keeping them intact and just putting it in a blender like this is, if we were putting it in a sprayer, it's going to clog your sprayer. So for foliar sprays, you want to fillet it and take the gel out, and again, use it as quickly as possible. I would probably still blend it with water and before mixing it into your sprayer, so it's really mixed up, but then getting rid of this outer bit. So let's see. Basically, I'm going to cut the end off here, and then I'm going to, like down the edges of the spine there, I'm going to take the ribs off. So just really thin down the edge. Yep, and got that off. And do the same on the other side. Okay, so we got those off. And then you got to be careful when you do this part. But I'm going to try my best to not take too much of the gel with me, but just in this curved part, it's kind of tricky. But just to shave off the top part of the leaf. Oops. Okay, I can't get the very tip there, but there we go. And so there's only, I missed a little bit right here. So we'll go ahead and I'll pull that out. But this is the inner fillet, and it is just gorgeous, 100% organic aloe vera straight from the yard. I'm tempted just to use this for ourselves and not give it to the plants. But yes, we're going to go ahead and give it to the plants. So I'm going to scoop that out with a spoon into a bowl. And look at that. That is just a beautiful hunk of aloe vera. So pretty with my dirty fingernails. So I'm going to set it in the bowl over here. Sorry, it's getting blurry because I'm going in and out, but keep pulling this out. And then again, time is of the essence, so we want to get this blended up as quick as possible so that we can feed our plants with it. Gets a little bit goopy. I'm actually going to just stick the rest of this in the fridge because we were out all day and I'm really sunburned, so I want to take this leaf and slather it on my back in a little bit. I think that's what I'm going to do. I put on sunscreen, but it's still just too much for me. Well, I would take off that little bit, but we're going to blend it anyways, so just for demonstration. But here would be, minus those few little pieces that I'm leaving, again, because we are blending it anyways, that would be our aloe vera gel. So I'm just going to put this straight into the blender because it's going to go all to the same place anyway. So again, that was just for purpose of demonstration. So now we are going to put some water in here. We're going to use filtered water because we're going to try to avoid the use of chlorine, which is, now we're going to have rainwater outside as well. And we're going to get this blended up and we'll get it put on our plants and we'll show you when we do that. Okay, so I got the filtered water in there. You can see we've got about half the, I think this is a 64-ounce blender, but we did throw in that last big one, and so that was what, a handful of small leaves and then just a few large leaves for 2 5-gallon buckets. We're going to blend this and then we're going to evenly distribute them between the 2 buckets. So there it is. And we're going to go ahead and try to evenly pour this into these 2 buckets of rainwater. Okay, we'll give it a little stir and we're gonna go spoil some plants. Okay, so this bed just got planted out today with all kinds of new peppers and squash and eggplant and some basil. So that's who we are going to give a little love to. I'm actually going to go around probably most of the garden and give them all a little love, but I've got my little beaker here. Oh, I'm apparently holding it backwards. Maybe I'll switch that around. It makes it a little easier to pour. But this is, again, more like almost, you know, coconut water is so good for you to drink when you're dehydrated or not feeling well. It's just loaded with all those enzymes and micronutrients and things to keep you hydrated and healthy. And that's what we've got here. So this is a tonic for our plants. You can see it moving around in there. I'm just going to repeat the process, and I'm giving everyone a nice healthy little dose. Okay, I'm not going to do all of it on film because that's just awkward and uncomfortable. But that is feeding your plants an aloe vera drench, a soil drench. And you can do the same kind of process in a sprayer for a foliar spray. And we always suggest spraying things in the evening. So a little after this, once the sun went down, is when we would do any kind of foliar spray, just to avoid wet leaves during the daytime, getting any kind of sunburn. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I will do a write-up about it as well There's Aaron. Hi, Aaron. So Aaron already went through one bucket. He's bringing it out back. Some other things we planted. I've got a little left. And I'm going to come and spoil, I think, some of our trees up here. So we have a persimmon tree in bloom. And our avocado tree up here. And this fig tree too, just starting to bloom. Maybe I'll give a little bit to this guy too. This one got transplanted actually, so it would appreciate it. We moved that tree when we recently did this corner last September. So it used to be up in a barrel up there. I'll go refill. A little bit more. Almost done. Actually, I'm gonna come over to this tree too and give this fig tree some love. Spoiled ass plants.